This is the Ask Faleskini podcast, where the modern economy is discussed from a skeptic's perspective. Mr. Faleskini helps you distinguish what is sustainable in our economy and what isn't. Not everything that glitters is gold, and not all mud is dirty. The podcaster Mr. Faleskini provides no-nonsense advice. He had it all, lost it all, went bankrupt multiple times, and is now attempting to come back from zero with sustainable growth. There are numerous coaches and preachers on the internet that preach about positive thinking and how life is all roses if you just care to see it that way. Well, Mr. Faleskini is definitely not one of them. We recommend you ask Faleskini to keep it real. He discusses the darker side of the current economic reality, the side that's more important for your personal and business finance. His first intention is to help you keep what you already have. Not to be a complete party pooper, Mr. Faleskini will also hint at the earning opportunities in the economy today. In order to please the almighty algorithm, please like, share, and subscribe. And now it's time to start taking notes. The mic goes to the podcaster, the one and only Mr. Faleskini.
Thank you, Taylor. The news is full of predictions about the upcoming recession. It looks like there is a competition going on who is going to predict worse recession. That is why I'm dedicating this episode to the question, who should be afraid of the recession? And because I do not believe that recession will be bad for everyone involved, I'm also answering the question, who should not be afraid of the recession in this episode. And let's start with definition. Let's define what recession is. Official definition is: recession is a period of temporary economic decline during which trade and industrial activity are reduced. Statistic shows recession as fall of GDP in 2 successive quarters. To simplify it, if company produce less, if people purchase less, then we have a recession. To kick off this episode with my personal experience, let's start with the 4 recession times during my lifetime. I was born in recession in the second part of the 70s. How my family experienced this recession was the gas prices were sky high, construction materials were scarce, so were hard to come by, and there were some limitation to which days you can use car in the city. I was aware of the recession in 1989. However, it was just communicated to me that even the dollar and the German mark and British pounds have problem with inflation, so you can get less for $1 that you could 10 years ago. I've started my entrepreneurial journey in the late 90s, and I was hit hard by the dot-com recession in the early 2000s. How it affected me and my company was that what would be now called venture capital fund choose us to do a project together. We had to prepare a working prototype. And in order to finance the working prototype, I got people to invest in my business. We were accepted. The venture capital accepted our prototype and also wanted to invest in my business. However, we got all the paperwork and everything ready. However, due to the dot-com bubble, the money never arrived on the account. And because of that, I could not earn any money for my early investors. That was a huge problem. However, this was also an opportunity because then I was pushed into the financial industry. I was also hit hard by the 2008 recession, where my property portfolio was heavily leveraged, although I used about 50% leverage. At that time, it seems really low before the recession. However, the prices dropped more than 50% at that time in the city where I was renting. So when I was doing buy to rent, and I had a huge problem after that. However, I'm not afraid of the recession because my experience showed that I always got better opportunities during or at the end of each recession. I'm certain that this recession is going to be the same, and this is my 4th recession as an active business person. And I do believe that the 3rd time lucky still exists in business. And now, answering the main question of this episode. who should be afraid of the upcoming recession? And the answer is really easy and simple. All established players that have inherited their wealth might lose it during this recession. All the companies that were based or living off government subsidies, all the companies that are heavily leveraged and that their credit rating is based on paying the loan, not on actually making the money, all the companies that make extra profits due to monopoly, all the companies that make extra profit due to the corruption, all the companies that have overvaluated their assets, all the companies that made balloons out of different asset class, all the companies that are practically involved in pump and dump schemes, all the companies that have business due to their connection, not because of their added value, all the companies that have lawyers that are more powerful than the legal system. This is the top level of companies that will be highly affected by the upcoming recession. On lower levels, people that were employed due to their family connection, status, belonging to a certain group or church will have hard time keeping their job during the recession, because these are the people that will be first laid off during the recession. And yes, the media is portraying a much worse picture of the upcoming recession than the recession will actually be, because this same media is owned by the previously mentioned companies, and also the superstars in the media, like anchors and all this stuff, they're also there due to their connection, their previous experience, and similar. And they're all afraid what will happen in the connection. That is why the communication in media is just making people scared, because it looks like, or they're portraying the picture of the end of the world if the recession starts. And let's check why this is not the case. Let's check who should not be afraid of the upcoming recession. History shows that most hardworking people are better off 10 years after the start of the recession. And of course, the biggest name from right now, and the biggest names of all business people and all brands and all companies will probably be gone after this recession. And this is a huge opportunity for all small and medium-sized local businesses that were now basically disabled due to unfair treatment from a global conglomerates that had to pay lower taxes, that were government subsidized, that could use manpower from China and other places where the manpower is much cheaper and they could afford production there. And they had much better credit ratings and consequently much cheaper money. And they could do also a lot of promotional activities that were actually a dumping price. So they could produce below the production costs. All this might be gone in the upcoming recession. And this is, as I said, huge opportunity for local, small, and medium-sized businesses. All the people that were employed due to their connections because of their being member of some party or something will now be replaced with people that can deliver, that can add value, and that is clear that they are beneficial for the company. Because the recession will just lower the turnover of the companies to a level when they will have to clear themselves of all the people that are not capable. However, all the hardworking and capable people that are bringing value will be paid more after the recession, because the company will finally recognize their value in the company. The same will happen with the collapse of big banks. This will make way for the local saving societies and mortgage companies to live again. They are gone for almost 30 to 40 years now, but they are really good and they are very beneficial because they know their local companies, they know their local people, and they can help. Global bank, it's just all about credit ratings. They don't understand the social environment they're in. And they don't need to, because their money is so cheap that they can afford to lose it, or they can now afford even to insure it. And if I want you to take something from this podcast, this is a recession is just the lie detector used on all participants in the economy. And if you want to make it from a poker point of view, recession is the time when everyone has to lay their cards on the table and the bluff is over. So recession shows who's holding the best cards. Or to translate it in the economy language, who's adding value, who's beneficial to society, who can produce profit, and who can deliver what they promise. So don't be afraid of the upcoming recession. Make sure that you are adding value, that you are active in economy, and make sure that you identify opportunities that will come in this recession. And I hope that all my listeners get out of the recession much better than we are going into this recession. And back to Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Faleskini, for this outstanding podcast. And thank you for listening to the Ask Faleskini podcast until the end. Mr. Faleskini would love to hear your feedback in the comments. And don't forget, if you want to know, ask Faleskini or listen to the Ask Faleskini podcast. In order to please the almighty algorithm, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.